Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony, and if you follow me you know that we're at the very early stages of building this amazing Jagdpanther the G2 from Armortek, another massive 1:6 scale full metal kit, and this is a monster. When we left off last time we had installed all of the axle arms and set them all out and they're all painted. And then I was deliberating over, well, the next step according to the Armortek instructions are the wheels, and there's a lot of those. There's 16 of those in total, and that's a huge amount of build time. However, I really want to get the drive case installed, and the tanks I've built so far, that the sequence would be drive case on, wheels next kind of thing, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. So I hope it's not to the detriment of my build, but I'm going to go ahead and install the drive cases today and get those all set up, and then I'm going to get them painted, because and then once they're painted, then I can concentrate on building the wheels and getting the wheels on. And as part of all that, I will also be building the sprocket, and then I'll probably build a small section of track like I've done in the past, both on the M26, the Hetzer and my old Tiger. And that just helps me with the alignment with the sprocket and the wheels and everything else. So a long way to go on this, but I think for this session it's going to be about building the drive case assembly, getting that set up correctly, install both sides of the hull. And you may notice there's an empty space next to me. That's where my old M26 used to sit. And if you've not seen that, I've actually sold that. It's gone off to the Netherlands and it's safely arrived at its destination. I might get the Hetzer around and park it here so that I don't feel so alone. But anyway, if you were wondering where the M26 is gone, it's gone. It's off to a new home, and there is a video all about how I got that packed up and ready to ship. So what I'll do now, in the time-honoured tradition, is I will reset the camera so we can get in and have a look at this. But just ahead of that, I mean, look at this piece of just beautiful engineering. This is the drive case itself. Just beautifully machined by Armortek, and a real lovely weight to that. So lots of components to go on here, and I'll show you how we do these, and then yeah, we'll see how we get on. But I think today will really just be about getting the drive case installed on the hull. So anyway, I will now reset the camera and we'll get cracking. So here we have all the parts you're going to need to install the drive case and the main drive gears. You've got the two drive case enclosures. You've got the two drive gears, which are currently wrapped up and protected. You've got some bearings, some roller wheels, some spacers, a couple of retainers, and all your fixings. And I've got some grease as well for the main drive gear itself. So that's all we're going to need. All my fixings are in here, and hopefully this is a really straightforward part of the build, which I'll talk you through right now. First things first, we're going to unwrap one of these. The main drive gear, and that is a beautifully machined piece of steel. Really got a nice weight to that, just feels quality. What I'm going to do though is give that a bit of a clean. All these components that you get from Armortek just feel like quality, real quality. I'm just wiping any excess manufacturing grease off of that, and then let's get some paper towel. Let's give that a wipe over. We're going to have to Loctite these bearings on. So the first things first, just so you can see, we have a bearing that goes over the well, let's have a look. Classic. That goes on there. Then we have a spacer and another bearing that goes over the top of that. And all of that should fit nicely inside the drive case, like so. But obviously we now need to just get some Loctite on the bearing. That's got itself stuck in there. Well, that's fairly stubborn, it's not going to move, but what I will do is I'm just going to pop a little bit of the Loctite on the, just a little tiny smidgen of that. I don't want to get it on the actual bearing itself, just on the joint or the interface with the shaft. And the reason why you do this, you don't want the bearing sort of rotating around. So that's that. The spacer goes over the top of that, and then we can then apply some of the Loctite to the shaft. So when the other bearing slides over, that should retain that in place. That should hold that in place now. Now we're going to apply the Loctite. Let me just zoom the camera in a little bit for you. Just going to apply the Loctite to the bearing, the outside face of the bearing. And then this whole thing should just slide into the housing. And then we just hold that there for a while, so that captures the main drive gear in its location. And while we're waiting for that to go off, I'm just going to apply a little bit of grease. This is just like a silicone grease, and all this is going to do is help mesh the drive motors when they go in, and just help lubricate that. Don't go overboard with the grease. Again, I mean, Armortek don't ask you to grease this, but I guess there's different views on grease or not grease, and dry lube and things like that. But I've found that with the previous tanks that I've built, grease works quite well, especially this silicone grease stuff. This modern stuff is amazing. You just want enough on there so that eventually when the drivetrain or the main drive motor connects with this gear here and meshes with this gear here, move that out, meshes with this, it's got some kind of grease between the two moving parts. So we're going to leave that just set before we install the main drive hub onto the hull itself. Okay, time to install this now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put, there's a M3 16mm countersunk fixing that goes through this, and we just locate that in the back of the hull. Just trying to find so I can position a nut on it. Not tightening this up too tight, I'm just getting the nut on the other side of it for now, just to stop it from falling off. Now I've got that there, I'm going to put one of these M3 12mm hex fixings, which goes through the front of the hull, hole in that, and you just have to sort of locate, pull this around so you can feel it drop into the hole. I'm just going to wind that in a little bit, just don't tighten any of these up just yet, just get them in loosely, because you want a little bit of play on this as you try and locate the various fixings. So I might as well carry on doing the hex fixings for now. I can feel that sort of located as well. Just holding that in place. The size of this is huge. do hope I'm doing this in the right sequence. I'm not sure why Armortek would have asked you to build the wheels first. I don't know, but hope I don't end up regretting this particular sort of stage. There's only 5 of these hex fittings that go into the main drive case. Obviously make sure you use thread lock, because this comes under a huge amount of stress and you don't want anything working itself loose. And if you do need to access it for servicing, then you can heat up the thread locker to release the fixing. Just feels such a beast. I won't film the other one, I'll just do this one in real time, and then I'll go on, do the other one, and then move on to the next step. This is after having such a laborious and lengthy exercise of doing the axle arms. This is actually very pleasurable. A lovely piece of, just working with a lovely piece of engineering. So relaxing. We'll go on and do this side now with these countersunk fixings. This one's right down on the bottom of the hole. Sits on that bar. Awkward. I think I've got it. Yeah. I'm going to tighten this one up. I think we're all good. Nothing's untoward, so I will tighten these up. This has obviously got a reciprocating nut on the inside of the hole side. I'm just holding the nut on the inside of the hole with my finger, and once it grabs it, there's no need to put a socket on the back. And then once I've done these, we'll go back round and tighten up the hex fittings on the other side of it. I think as soon as you see something like the drive case go on, it really starts to take shape. And every time I'm working with this amazing kit, it's a mind-blowing experience to see the size of it. I know some of you have commented on the size of it already. The kit I'm talking about, obviously, and it is a monster. I know. I mean, it looks big on camera, but trust me, the camera is not lying. I'm going to have to think about taking this off my bench very soon so I can get it onto my main table, my table lift, so it gives me space to build the wheels. And this is the last of the countersunk fixings. I'm keen to get this done, get it painted, and then go on and do the wheels, which is what I've said already is a mammoth task. You kind of hope for a day that's raining so you're not missing out. help, wouldn't it, if I put the... okay, that's that. Just need a couple more nuts. Undercounted my nuts. That's it. A little bit awkward. One of the guys that follows me, follows my channel, is actually a veteran. Is that right? Would be the right word? Or was a tank driver. And what was interesting is he was telling me that they used to call, I'm sure it was called the hull monster or something. And he said anything that you drop down inside the real tank, you never thought you'd ever get it back. It's exactly the same as this. If you drop something in one of these, it's awkward to get out. And then we've got one. That's that. They're all in, all tight. So make sure they are tight. As I said, you want this to be tight and you want it to be secured with the thread locker. You don't want anything that needs to be tightened up a bit. I'll have to get the socket on the end of that one. Tight as anything, because you don't want this coming apart. You don't want anything working itself loose. That's that, they're all tight. Just go back to this side now and then tighten the ones to the underside of the hull. And you want this to be spinning freely, not grinding in any way whatsoever. And then once we've got these on, we'll put the little roller wheel on and then do a bit of masking up. So that's them all tight. The only other thing we've got now is this little roller wheel. Again, just all beautifully machined. There's a thread locker on that. Wind that in. It's gone in there beautifully. And the wheel goes over the top of that. Then we have a little M4 10mm fixing and a retaining washer. Goes on and holds that into place. And that should spin freely. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to mask off this wheel. So I don't want to get too much paint on that. Fold that around. I don't mind getting a bit of paint on this bit because you won't see this bit really. That's that. And then I'm going to mask off this main shaft We don't want any paint getting on that. So I'm going to go now and do the other side, and then I'll come back to camera. So that's both sides done, both installed, all masked up. I did put a bit more masking tape around this little running wheel here and on that side, just so that I don't want to get paint on the black itself. Next job is I'm actually going to put the idler bearing mount in, because that's going to need to be painted as well. So we're going to put those on both sides, and then it'll be ready for painting again. I'll get it off the bench, get it painted, and then we'll talk about the next step. Okay, so I'm going to put these idler bearing mounts in place. That's a bit tight, so that's just a matter of just deburring this edge here. Picking up that swarf. Hopefully that goes in there nice. Now there's four fixing holes on here, which it's fine, but the one on the bottom is almost impossible to get to, but I'll talk about that in a second. So this here is what this idler arm, this beautifully machined piece of really heavy steel, got a great weight to that. This passes through that, and then the idler wheel gets attached to this, and that's obviously what allows you to tension and loosen the track as you wish through the back of the tank here. So that's that, and that's so gorgeous. That is such a beautiful weight to that. And I will be masking off all the shaft and everything else and painting just this main hub here. So anyway, that's that. So what we're going to do, this is secured by these, I need to get some more thread locker. Got like a tiny little sponge that I use. I find that's quite helpful, just soaked in thread locker. I'm going to put some thread locker on that fixing, and I'm going to pass the fixing through the bottom first. You see that popped out there, because once this is in, just can't see how I'm going to be able to get to that. Try and get my tool positioned. Try and feel that. That's it, it's starting to pull it into the main hub now, hole. Don't want to go too tight with that. I'm going to leave that tool attached to that, and then just position the other fixings. See if I can find the hole. That's it. If you keep it nice and loose, you're able to sort of move it around a little bit to allow the fixings to sort of just locate into the hole. And then again, I won't do both of these on camera. And then the final one, now we can tighten them all up. Again, this needs to be super tight. Go back to the bottom one. That's really tight. And that's that. And as I said, this is what this eventually passes through and sits in that position like that. So I'll go on and do the other side now, exactly the same. Actually, I will do it on camera, but that's gone in there nice. So you can see the opposite side. So what I did there is just poke that fixing through that bottom hole. Get my tool on that. Just try and locate into the hole. Leave that there. Pass that through by hand. Just actually, what have I done there? Thought it was in, but it wasn't. I think I've got it now. Awkward. It's definitely in the hole. Talk amongst yourselves. Right, what's going on here? I could just go magically all done. Don't think that's very fair. Right. It would be right if I used the right driver, right? Sorry about that, guys. There's me winding it going, what's going on? There you go, that's better. That's pulling it in now, as it should have in the first place. Right, so apologies for that. As I said, I do like to do warts and all. You see all the mistakes, I'm going to go again. Just wind that in. That's the difficulty when you've got too many tools on your bench. But you do need several different size fixer tools and different types of tools. And also I think it's good that you can see some of the frustrations of the build as well. So that's, I won't tighten them up just yet. Let's get them all in. That's it. Now I can go around and tighten all these up, get them extra tight. That's it. All done, all tight. And I'll just show you that when this comes through, see that slotting in there, then this hole here, when you remove the cap from the back here, allows you to get the track tensioner in and adjust the tension of the track. So that's that. So anyway, apologies for dragging that out. That's all done. I think it is time now to think about getting these parts painted. Well, that's it for today's session. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. And if you notice, my Jagdpanther is no longer on my bench. I put it on my table lift, and the reason I've done that is because I need room to build all of these wheels, which will be in the next session. There's 16 of those wheels, and it's hours and hours and hours of, I mean, it's probably about an hour per bit of wheel going on what I've done before. Might be less than that, I don't know, but there's plenty of hours of building that, and I'll probably just do a couple in real time and then ask Ben to do his magic and speed up the whole process. So in today's video, really just to summarize, we did the 2 front drive cases left and right. We assembled them and installed them onto the hull, and then we put the rear idler mount bearing mounts on, and then I painted it so the whole of the lower hull section is now painted. And I'm really happy because then at least it allows me to concentrate on moving on forward with the build. While it was outside and I was painting those parts, I also decided to paint the inside of the tank an off-white colour. So I'm really pleased with that. So I primed and painted that. And now it is looking really, really smart. But I will say, even at this early stage of the build, this is now heavy and it's awkward. So, you know, be mindful of that when you're building this. When you get to this sort of stage, it could be a 2-person lift to be able to move it from your bench onto a scissor lift or vice versa. And that's without anything else added onto it. It's still heavy. But a beautiful heavy monster, and I love everything about it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, because we have got a long way to go on this build. And again, a massive thank you to all of you who continue to support my small channel. It's growing all the time, and it blows my mind with these subscriptions, and I don't know what I'm doing right, but I'm doing something right, I guess. And but without your support, this channel doesn't exist. So thank you again for joining me. I'm Tony. I love building these kits, and I'll see you in my next build session.